Today we're at Jack Biggs Park, another park in the Nanaimo area. This one is next to the Duke Point ferry terminal. A little more challenging to get to, but the access point is through the Duke Point industrial area and then basically follow the signs. This park is basically out and back, goes to a nice point overlooking the ocean, and most of the way along it you are walking along the Nanaimo River Delta, and you get some views of the ferry terminal as well. So it is basically an out and back, bit of loop at the end, but we'll take you along and on this short journey. Cheers. The trail starts by walking through the tunnel underneath the highway that goes out to Duke Point ferry terminal. Then you have a great exit looking out over the Nanaimo River Delta. If the tide were out, this would all be basically sand. So this trail hugs the edge of a peninsula out towards Duke Point. You get to see sandstone cliffs. There's some staircases to help guide you up and down, some elevation changes along the way. Good views the whole way actually. You're basically next to the water. And as I said, we're protected somewhat from the highway noise, not entirely, but somewhat from this row of trees. Once you get to the end of the point, which is just a couple kilometers really, you can look back at the ferry terminal, and maybe there'll be even a ferry in dock at the time. But on this side, you basically see the Nanaimo Harbour on the other side. And certainly when you're getting into looking at sunsets or sunrises, it's a kind of nice spot to check out. Here we have the Western Forest Products facility in the Duke Point industrial area. Here we have our first set of staircases, just to get us some elevation. It can be a bit noisy on this stretch, especially with the industrial site beside us and the traffic noise. It is reasonably quiet in terms of pedestrian traffic, although it's hit and miss. Sometimes it gets pretty popular. Once you get behind the cliffs up ahead, all this industrial noise will dissipate at least, and you can walk more in synergies with nature. I'm not a geologist, but this park is one of a few in the Nanaimo area that's indicative of certain geological features. A lot of sandstone in this region, mud, glacial till and the like, that you can come and check out. There's some information along the way of this trail, and see some of the unique features that we have in the Nanaimo region. Here we have the second of the staircase climbs to get us back to elevation. I see some arbutus around here, and a pretty nice view from the top, or close to the top, I should say. All right, let's keep climbing and continuing on this journey. Well, they just called to load the ferry. We may get to the end point before the ferry takes off. And we'll check it out then. We're back in the treed section. We're somewhat protected by the cliff over here, so the noise isn't getting through. And now we can just enjoy a relatively quiet walk. Quite a few pedestrians or other walkers through this park today, so we're running into a few people along the stretch, more so than I'm used to actually, but it is a beautiful day out, so I'm not surprised that it's getting some people out. Well, this should be our last staircase climb, bringing us back to height. We will return back to sea level soon after, but just to get up and down these cliffs, these stairs are helpful. All right, let's keep going. Well, we're nearing the end, or at least we're approaching the end of the peninsula. Said it's an out and back. We took one part of the loop near the end, and we're going to try and return on the other half, just to get a little bit of a change in scenery. But it said most of this stretch is out and back, so be able to show you the views of the end here pretty quick here. The Duke Point ferry terminal services Nanaimo to Tawasin on the lower mainland. Crossing from here is 2 hours. This is one of the newer ferries that's in dock right now, and should be leaving fairly quick actually. Directly behind the ferry terminal you can see Harmac, which is one of the mainstays in terms of industrial employment for this region for much of its history, at least recent history. Across the way you can see Gabriola Island, and perhaps you can make out the Gabriola Island ferry that connects it to downtown Nanaimo. You can see the sandstone carving of the shoreline. Well, I hope you enjoyed this walk out to Jack Biggs Park at the very point of the peninsula here. We still have to walk back, and I'll be taking some pictures along the way, but most of the, since we are doing it out and back, that might be a little limited. The journey out here isn't too far, as I said, only a couple of kilometers. Total return is maybe 4, but we'll check when we get to the end in terms of the actual stats. It's not terribly accessible in terms of the stairs and some of the ups and downs over rocks, but it does get you to a nice spot. You can, out here, you can see sea lions and seals, sometimes killer whales. They have the ferry terminal, but the Hello ferry goes by this one, the Gabriola ferry goes by this. You see helijets flying overhead at their schedule, and of course the seaplanes too. So it's a great view of the Nanaimo Harbour and the Salish Sea out towards Gabriola in that sort of stretch. And it's a relatively easy access point from the parking lot. Air Duke equipment. All right, join me on the way back. we're coming to the end of our journey at Jack Biggs Park. I hope you've enjoyed traveling with me today and exploring the wonderful areas that Nanaimo has to offer. This park in particular walks along the ocean for its entire length, with although in the trees at times it has lots of breakouts where you can get access to the ocean. Anyways, the access to this is via the Duke Point Industrial Park. It is next to the Duke Point Ferry Terminal, but do follow the signs along the way. The access for it is quite a bit further up the highway down to the Duke Point Ferry Terminal than you might otherwise think. Okay, thanks again for joining me today, and I'll catch you on the next one.